I am getting good sound, yeah, and I just started the recording, so, and I don't want to interrupt you. I'd like you to be freelance, so it's instead of me interviewing you. If you're good with that, that'd be great.
I'm ready to go.
Okay.
Tell me when you want to start. Ready to go?
I'm ready.
Okay. This is Dr. Fred Gross speaking to you from Christchurch, New Zealand. It's a beautiful summer's day here. It's February 22nd. I've been asked by my friend Brad Roach to talk to you as the Elements Funding Elite Circle. Let me say that again. The top producing people of Element Funding Elite Circle in the United States, and to be able to comment on some of my videos in the worldview that I carry. Those of you who will get a sense of who I am will hear just how I see the world. I've been coaching top producing entrepreneurs since 1977. I'm old. And I'd like to spend a few minutes talking about some of my key concepts. One of the key concepts that I work with is called dollar productive activity or dollar productive behavior. It's a term that I personally have coined. And what it means is that when you go to work or when you go to life, you have 24 hours a day, you have 168 hours a week. And that if you're at work 8 hours a day, total of maybe 40 to 50 hours of work, it's possible that most of your time is not spent being dollar productive. You may want to isolate the behaviors that you make money from, because in most businesses like yours, prospecting would be a key element, doing the deal, and upselling would be part of it as well. But there would only be certain select behaviors that we call dollar productive in your industry. And so it's really important that when you pay attention to your time, that the dollar productive behavior is what you do. Often when I ask people to keep a time log, and a time log you can get if you want from Brad, keeps half-hour intervals, 24 hours a day for 2 weeks. So if you wrote down everything you did in half-hour intervals, yes, you'd sleep for 8 hours, but if you wrote half-hour intervals of what you did and then went back to see what Monday looked like and what Tuesday looked like and how you would evaluate it as a business day, you might find that out of 50 or 60 hours at work, that you are only dollar productive for 8 or 10. And 8 or 10 hours means that of that, it means you spend 40 hours wasting time. Ideally, your job is to prospect, to do deals, to upsell. There are specials that you might add in for your particular circumstance. And the goal of the work that I do is to get people to go from 8 to $10 productive hours a week to 30 or 40, and thereby tripling or quadrupling their net income. So as you start 2018, I'm asking you to consider ratcheting up your dollar productivity and giving away the busy work. I'd like you actually to be allergic to anything that isn't dollar productive when you're at work. And you'll find a radical increase in income for the house and income for you. But when we talk about dollar productive, it says that certain behaviors produce income. Most behaviors at work are a waste of time and should be done by a secretary. It's not naughty, it's just not your job. So part one of this discussion is shifting to dollar productive behavior and doubling and tripling the number of hours you spend doing that. And if you would, ask Brad for a time log that he can get for free from me to be able to keep a record of what you do with your half-hour intervals for 2 weeks. You will be very upset at first to see how much time you waste. And then at the end of a week of wasted time, go home to your beloveds and say you worked hard, and when in fact you acted out your personal pathology. Work for me is exclusively dollar productive. Everything else doesn't belong at work. Part two. Many people have what I call a glass ceiling. A glass ceiling is you stop yourself from earning. You have a habit pattern where you produce the same relative income each year, especially if you're beyond the beginner stage. So that if you're in the business 1 or 2 years, you're learning the industry. When you're in 3 to 5 years, you know what to do. And then what happens is people keep doing the same again and again and again. And the work that I do is I ask people to either 1.5 to 2x every year their income. And you can say, how can we do that? And you do that by increasing your dollar productive behavior. And you go back and you delegate everything that isn't dollar productive for your job description to basically be exclusively dollar productive and take naps in between, giving everything else to personal assistants and other people who can help you at a much lower wage level. So when you call the glass ceiling, it's then a habit pattern of same old, of getting used to what was before. And one of the things I'd like to introduce that you can remove the glass ceiling with a decision and with what I call a written ideal day. We're talking about doing the same habits. Habits have longevity. Habits are a repetitive pattern. For you to change a habit, we have to then change the habit so that if you were to write down what you did each hour, called an ideal day, and you double the hours that you're dollar productive, and then you stuck with it for 30, 90, 120 days, you'd actually be creating a new habit pattern of working off a written plan rather than working off your natural response, which is old habits, which is 1x income or glass ceiling. For you to go to 2x or to go to 3x or to go to 4x, we have to then write it up as a written plan and then actually force yourself to override the old habits by coming exclusively dollar productive, if at all possible, and delegating everything that you used to waste time doing to some well-meaning person called a secretary or a personal assistant or somebody else, because you can't afford to do that work at your wage level. So part of this injunction as you start 2018, the elements funding elite circle that you are, I'm still getting the taste of that name. I'm asking you to consider doubling your dollar productive behavior. Do a written plan for every day that has twice as much dollar productive hours and calling or whatever you do for prospects, and allow yourself to double your income. Now, the last part of what I'll speak about is called 10s, 25s, 50s, and 100s, and it goes to having an amazing life. I'm an American by background, even though I live in New Zealand now and I'm an American citizen still. But I've discovered that when I had dollar making or making money as the primary activity in business, my people make tens of millions of dollars. I work with top achievers. But if you focus on money primarily, you'll have a narrow view of life. You won't spend enough time with your family. You won't entertain your destiny or your sense of purpose or your genius, and you'll make a lot of money. What happens when you make a lot of money without having friends, without having a beloved relationship, without paying attention to your kids, is you grow up rich and very alone. And so I've introduced 10s, 25s, 50s, and 100s. A 10, by my definition, is something that makes your heart sing on a daily basis. That makes your heart sing on a daily basis. And it could be like taking a bath, going for a run, petting your dog, reading to your kids, cuddling with your beloved. But on a daily basis means that it doesn't wear out. So that there are things that you have intrinsically in you that really make your life wonderful. A 25 is something that makes your heart sing on a 2-week to monthly basis, which means that it's the same potency of delight. It's really a good back scratch, a good cuddle, a fine glass of red wine, a good glass of beer can make your heart sing. But on a 2-week to monthly basis might be to play a round of golf, to go deep sea fishing, play in a foursome at the golf course. But it's something where if you did it every day, it would be too much. But if you did it once every year, it wouldn't be enough. So we're looking at 10s daily, 25s 2 weeks to a month, 50s and 100s are once and twice a year. A 50 could be having lunch in Paris. A 50 could doing a motorbike ride up the eastern seaboard. A 50 could be going sailing in the Mediterranean, whatever that would be for you. But it's something that you would do once, twice a year, and if you did it once every 3 years, wouldn't be enough. But if you did it once or twice a year, is fine, but once a day would be too much. So we're introducing a concept that intrinsic to you are things that you're passionate about. Some on a daily, some on a 2-week to a month basis, some on an annual basis. Now what we're looking at is saying that inside of you, you have things like a fingerprint that you really love. I love dark chocolate. I love frying garlic in olive oil. I love baking bread. I love cuddling with my wife, Victoria. I mean, I don't have to talk myself into it. Many people are caught up in protocols and political correctness, but there's no passion. It's just a dead ritual. And people can do work that way as well. What I'm asking you with 10s, 25s, 50s, and 100s is to start writing down and catching those things that make your life rich. And by writing them down, whatever they are for you, and if you do that with your beloved as well, you'll find out what your beloved finds is passionate. The art is to have a 10 out of 10 day by adding your 10s to the day. So if you're having a 6 out of 10 day in business, and then you add a glass of red wine, you add going out to dinner, going out to a fine movie, going dancing, having a beer with a mate, to the day, all of a sudden what was a 6 day becomes a 10 day. I'm asking you to do a life on purpose and add 10s. So if you have like bubble baths like I do, and the water is cold, add hot water until it's right. So adding 10s is like adding hot water. So what we have then is the ability to be dollar productive, we talked about that, and also to make a commitment to redesign your life so that every day is 10 out of 10, every day, no matter what happens, by adding enough 10s so that you're really feeling good at the end of the day. And if you do that with your beloveds as well, you create a honeymoon kind of relationship. Honeymoon relationship means like when you first got together. And I really am big on having honeymoon relationships. How do you do that? You add 10s in your day. You make sure your beloved adds 10s for their day. And you check in with each other to make sure that every day, by habit, becomes an amazing, magnificent day. This is Dr. Fred Gross speaking to you from Christchurch, New Zealand, talking about no limits, a 10 every day, and 10s, 25s, 50s, and 100s as making your heart sing throughout the year. And learning very clearly that work is exclusively dollar productivity. Whenever you're not doing that which you make money from, you're wasting time. Don't do it. Delegate it. Dr. Fred over and out from New Zealand.
That was awesome.